sir. Yes, sir. What's good? What's good? As y'all already know, this is the BRAINZ podcast. We got my man BG31 in the building. Our guy, One Trey Rock. You know what I'm saying? And yours truly, Tone the Shills II. Man, look, we appreciate y'all for locking in on this live stream. Make sure y'all smash that like button. Really helps the content grow. Really helps everything get everywhere. It helps everyone see everything. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the BRAINZ podcast, and as y'all can see, we are in full effect. The trio is here. We got my guy BG31 in the building, One Trey Rock, and your boy Tone the Shills II. Yes, we are here, and y'all, man, BG, let them know how you feeling, cuz.
You know me, I'm always feeling good, baby. Anytime we can talk about our Philadelphia Eagles, the great team that we have this year, I'm down to talk about it. Whoop, 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 whoop.
One Trey Rock, let them know what's up.
You already know I'm always on ice, man. Let's get it.
Hey, you know what it is? You know what? Trey Rock, stay cool. You're like Trey Rock is like the great equalizer between me and BG. Me and BG get animated because we start going at it about Jalen Hurts, right? And then One Trey Rock come in like, listen, y'all, this is what it is. My man come in with ice pack. Like he stayed with the cooler, like, listen, y'all, I got it. Whatever y'all need. Chill, I got it.
That's how you get them, though. That's how you get them. You gotta say something controversial, though, and then you gotta stick with it, no matter what everybody else says about it. You just stick with it, yes. And you just see his blood boiling back there. He be doing all kinds of things, like, oh no, Trey's about to explode.
BG definitely not push buttons, man.
For sure. And it's crazy because once it take a lot to get Trey there. It take a lot. You gotta say something blasphemous, like.
For real though, man.
You guys are just talking stupid right now.
What? You gotta say something like. You gotta say something like, yeah, Jalen Hurts better than Lamar Jackson. Like, you gotta say something crazy like that.
Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFL. You better get it down, write it down, get with it.
Oh man, it's starting already. So let's get this conversation spicy, man. So I posed this question to one of my on one of my live streams before, and I wanted to get y'all thoughts on this. And we talked about that a little off air, but I want to know what's y'all thoughts on the running back situation. Now, hear me out on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got Miles Sanders back there, Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, and then young blood Kennedy Brooks out of Oklahoma. Now, the running back position, unfortunately, is not at a premium the way the wide receiver position is. So, in saying that, it's hard for running backs to get their big payday. That's just what it is. Teams don't like to pay running backs. That's just the way the league is moving.
Unless you're top 5, that's the only way.
Unless you're top 5, and on top of that, not many teams even got that bell cow anyway. That's not even the style most teams is running in because they don't want to lock up too much money right there. They'll much rather split up a bunch of different contracts in that running back room rather than having one giant big cap hit. Guys that are easily expendable, guys you can easily move on from, not that big of a dead cap hit. I'll say all that to say we all know Miles Sanders is looking for a pretty good payday. I think he knows damn well he's not getting a huge one, but I think he's looking for one that's going to, one that's going to make him cause the pause. One that's going to make him be like, oh, shoot, okay, Philly. But a lot of things has to go right for him in order for him to get that big payday from Philly. 9 times out of 10, he won't get it. But here's the situation. If Miles Sanders is not having the season that we anticipated, and he's being outplayed by Kenny Gainwell, should Kenny Gainwell start to take his snaps? Not all, but should he start to take some? And then I'll take it a step further. If Miles is really not playing up the par and Kenny Gainwell is really outplaying him, and it's starting to seem like Miles Sanders is expendable, should they think about trading him for some assets? And what potentially could Miles Sanders bring you if you trade him? So I'll let y'all take the floor on that long-winded question. Trey, you want to start this time?
Yeah, I started off. I'm gonna start out by saying I don't see it happening. I
Okay.
mean, Miles Sanders taking that much of a nosedive to where Kenny Gainwell actually like takes his spot, or like, I mean, he's the starting number one running back, and him and Miles splitting carries because to me, Kenny Gainwell is more of a third down dude. You could put him on special teams, stuff like that. He's not gonna be a every down back for you. So I mean, Miles is the biggest. He's the sturdiest back that we have right now. And I feel like he's going to turn it around this season. But if that scenario did play out, I feel like any running back, if they got somebody sitting under him, and even in the Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard situation, I feel like at this point, Tony Pollard is a better back than Ezekiel Elliott because he could give you more. But just because the contract, the money they paying this dude, they got to give him the football, that's probably never going to happen with Tony Pollard there. So, I mean, we haven't paid Miles Sanders yet. So he's not in a position where it's either Miles Sanders or nothing. So if Kenny Gainwell is out there making those plays happen, breaking those long runs, I mean, they featuring him a little bit more, and he's looking better than Miles Sanders. He should start. So, I mean, that's a rough situation, man. It's like I love Miles Sanders. I'm a big Penn State fan, so I follow this dude even from high school. So I love Miles Sanders. He's always been one of my favorite backs. But I mean, last year you can't ignore what happened last year. The dude didn't score a single touchdown last year. Like he didn't get into the end zone at all last year. So I mean, if that situation did happen, I wouldn't mind seeing Kenny Gainwell get touch the rock a little bit more, to be honest. And I don't know about the trading thing because I feel like this dude still has a lot of good football left in him. We probably not going to pay him super crazy like a Derrick Henry should get paid, dudes like that. But I feel like it's enough money to give Miles a solid contract. I feel like he should be here and be a Philadelphia Eagle, to be honest.
What about you, BG? What you think?
Yeah, I agree with most of that right there. You know, Miles Sanders is that dude. Like, I don't see him taking a dive this year. And even last year's dip, that we're really mad that he didn't score no touchdowns. But we got the rushing touchdowns regardless, like, as a team. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that part of it's like, yeah, you want him to score more touchdowns, but you've seen Jalen. You know, when the last time an Eagle quarterback never had 10 touchdowns in the season. So those are a lot of his touchdowns, you know, that he would have probably got being in there. I think Miles, like, he's proven that he's the best back on his team by far. Even when you add the Jordan Howards and stuff like that. Everybody got hyped last year about Jordan Howard. Oh, he needs to start. Jordan needs to start. Jordan needs to start. As soon as Miles got back on that field, he shows you why he starts. His yards per carry is a lot more, bigger, more explosive plays. You know, he's a freaking explosion ready to happen. Like, he can take it from anywhere on the field. You know, he's just that dude, you know. So as long as you got Jalen Hurts, I feel like it'd be good to have a young guy. Miles is still pretty young. You know, yes, his little injury, he got to get over that. He got to get healthier. But I think this is something that he spent all off season working on to make sure it doesn't affect him this year. You heard the way he's talking. He got a chip on his shoulder, and he's ready to do some things this year. I think there will be points this season where, you know, maybe Miles would have had sat out, but he's going to make sure he's in that game. You know, just because he already knows the narrative about him. He already knows, you know, how people see him as being, you know, injury prone already early in his career. So I think, you know, the sky's the limit for Miles, unless, like you guys say, flip side of that, if, you know, a guy like Gainwell is producing, you know, and Miles isn't, which is a big if, I think. You got to play that hot hand. Whoever's best in that rotation. That's why you got three backs, you know. And then don't even forget Brooks to see what he can do. I know he's undrafted, but, you know, like I said, that guy reminded me of Miles Sanders when you watch his highlights in OU. He looks like a Miles Sanders. You know, maybe a little slower, I think, maybe, but he's bigger, so that's a little bit better too. So, you know, this running back room is set right now. Like, I would love to go get, you know, like, go get a Hunt, or, you know, go get somebody else to bring in here too, you know, with Miles. But if Gainwell wants to step up, which we've seen him have some nice runs last year. He scored 5-6 touchdowns. He made sure whenever he touched the ball,
Yeah,
he was scoring
Gainwell
touchdowns.
had 5 rushing, 1 receiving touchdown. Yep.
Yeah. So he's scoring touchdowns. So he is an asset. Like you said, I see him as being more of a Darren Sproles for our team. 'Cause that's what he is. He's like that third down specialist. He's gonna get some runs. He's gonna get some runs here and there. But Miles Sanders, I don't even want to talk about him losing carries to Gainwell. Really, I don't think that's even possible. And I think Miles, unless he has a breakout year, 1,500 yards, 10, 12 touchdowns, what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he's looking at it like he needs to get the bag. I feel like he's in a situation where he feels like he needs to improve and show. He's still in the show me state. What I'm saying? He's not, oh, I made it already. He's still proving himself as a running back. So as long as he knows that, you heard him talk about the injuries must stop this year. So as long as he's doing that, and as long as he has a decent year, how good he plays will determine how much money he gets. And he can play himself out of a contract with us for sure. What happened to Miles Go, 1,800 yards this year, 15 touchdowns, what I'm saying, total. You're going to be like, whoa, dude, you got to pay this guy top number 1 back money. And are the Eagles going to be willing to do that? I wouldn't put my money down on it. So he'll be playing into a big contract with a new team, but it wouldn't be with us. So I want him to kind of stick. I want him to do that, right? I do. I don't care. That's their business, what they got to do with paying the man or not. I'm a Miles Sanders fan. I want him to be the best back in the league. I think he has all the talent possible to be the best back in the league if he puts it all together.
Go ahead, Trey. You want to say something?
I'll say something. Yeah. I mean, it's this like perception around Philly that Miles Sanders gets injured a lot, and that's really not the truth. He doesn't get injured a lot. He gets little nagging little injuries. I mean, that probably slow him down a little bit. He probably missed like a game or two. But Miles Sanders never got a serious injury. Like, he never had an injury that put him out for like the rest of the season or nothing like that. It's little nagging stuff that happened over the course of a season. Like, that happens to every back. Look at Derrick Henry. I don't think Derrick Henry ever played a whole season in his career. So, I mean, bro, like the narrative of Miles Sanders is he gets injured too much. He doesn't. And the dude, cracked 800 yards, I think, every season in his career. He cracked 800 yards. So he almost cracked that 1,000-yard. And a lot of times they weren't even really giving him the football. That's the crazy part. So it's like, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. Here's my retort to what Rich one Trey Rock is saying. Just a sidebar. Derrick Henry has played in every game from 2017 to 2020, except for 2021 when he missed 9 games because it's
my fault. I didn't mean to say Derrick Henry. I meant to say Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. Dalvin Cook. Yeah,
all the dudes that
he get hurt a lot.
That they say top 5 backs in his league. A lot of them don't even play whole season.
Right. What made Derrick Henry so special is the way he played the game and how healthy he was able to stay and how he was able to take care of his body. That's what made him so special, right? Yeah. But as far as Miles Sanders go, I think I might have to push back on the injury part of it because, he hasn't played all 16 games. Well, now 17 games, but he hasn't played all 16 games basically since his rookie year. 2 years in a row, he's only been able to play 12 games, and in 2020, that means he missed 4 games. And in 2021, that means he missed 5 games. So that's a total of 9 games in the span of 2 years. And if you can make a strong argument, if he would have stayed healthy, he would have easily cracked over 1,300 yards. Easily. Because when you look at his numbers from his rookie season, he accumulated 818 rushing yards and 509 receiving yards. Now, that's over 1,300 yards from scrimmage. And he wasn't even starting all of the games. He started in 11 games. Right. Now, 2020, he actually accumulated more yards in less games. And if you go by these numbers, really, he had 12 games played, he had 867 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, and he only had 197 yards receiving. So he took a step back in receiving and started focusing more on his running. But he was already on pace to crush his rookie numbers. He would have easily had over 1,200, over 1,300 rushing yards if he would have stayed healthy. And 2021, same thing. He had 754 rushing yards in 12 games. So The bottom line with Miles Sanders is, like you guys said, it's not a talent issue with Miles Sanders at all. It's not a production issue really. This past year was a strange year for him when it came to touchdowns. I'm not going to charge that to him too much, but his health is the only thing stopping him from being one of the top backs in this NFL. Like Miles Sanders could easily be a top 10 running back, but he can't stay on the field when it matters most. And that's that final stretch in the season. You know what I mean? Now last year was a little weird because he was there and they wasn't really using him. Then he got hurt. Then he came back and then got hurt again. So it was like you said, his injuries are never truly significant because he's always able to come back mid-season or whatever it may be. But that begs the question: what I know injuries are for the most part out of your control, but a portion of your injuries can be attributed to diet, lack of conditioning, not having enough physical contact throughout the off season. And we're going to talk about that as well because I actually have a problem with the fact that we're not putting these guys on the grass that much this off season. And I
Right.
know a lot of I know a lot of people, feel like, where they're trying to prevent injuries. And I get that. I'm never going to, push towards injuries. But I believe in callus in the mind. I believe in callus in your bones. I believe in callus in, that soft tissue. And, you know, you can make an argument, Miles Sanders. And again, I'm not there with him training. I can't make this guess for sure. And I don't want to ever try to question someone's work ethic. I'm not really in the business of that. I hate doing that. But 2 years in a row, you only made it 12 games. And the moment you actually had this past season, you accumulated over 25 touches, you got hurt. So something to that. 2 years in a
Mhm.
row, only 12 games played. Is it a conditioning? Is it your diet in the off season? Are you really dedicating yourself to making sure you flexible? Like sometimes it could be just simple as making sure you're stretching enough. You know what I'm saying? So I believe, I'm with you guys. I believe Miles Sanders is too much on the line for him to lose snaps. It's too much on the line for him to take a step back. But my fear, outside of just health, is him forcing the issue, which could then potentially lead to fumbles. So what's
Mental.
your thoughts? So what's your thoughts on that aspect? Like, do y'all think him understanding how big this year is can potentially be to his detriment? Because I know a lot of the time we talk about it being to his benefit because he got a chip on his shoulder, but sometimes that chip could turn into a crutch, and you can end up being a liability because you're forcing the issue. So what do you guys think about that?
You know what I feel like? I feel like Miles Sanders won't have to press if Nick Sirianni give him the football enough in the game. Um, the pressing comes with the lack of touches. I mean, it was games in the beginning of the season. Miles Sanders ain't even cracked over 5 carries in the game.
That's a fact. That's a
So
fact. And and,
I
and, and, and to respond to that, I think we all can disagree with the way that was handled. That
Yes.
was that was malpractice at the coaching spot. Like
yeah,
that's criminal to have your starting running back literally only averaging about 5 yards a carry through the first 5 or 6 games. That's criminal. But go ahead, Trey Rock.
yeah, man. It's like I feel like it was more because Miles fumbled a few times last year, but that was more of a Miles Sanders just trying to get what he could get while he got the football because we wasn't giving the dude the football for the first 6 games. Then the game we tried to really give him the football, he got injured, and that's kind of goes to what you said. He wasn't getting hit. He wasn't getting hit enough. He
Mhm.
wasn't getting hit enough. As soon as he got that first real contact, I mean, it put him out the game. But that's any running back though. I mean, you have Emmitt Smith on the field for 4 whole quarters and you give him 5 carries. I promise you, he gonna get hurt. Derrick Henry gonna get hurt. Any of these dudes gonna get hurt because I mean, running backs used to getting hit. They used to getting hit, and you not getting hit. Then you start getting hit. I mean, I played the position, bro. It's like if I had to warm up. I ain't get at least 10 carries probably before the third quarter.
It's
I'm
like the
pressing him.
equivalent. It's like the equivalent of a boxer, right? If you're
Yeah,
not used, like you could tell a lot. Like if you're not, what I heard this, and I think Javante Davis said this. He said early in fights he liked to take a couple hits because he liked to test where his opponent's strength at, right?
mm-hmm.
He said if you spend most of your time avoiding hits or being scared to get touched, and then you finally get touched and you're not used to it, you could drop.
Yeah,
So it's important. It's important to build up that build up that chin, so to speak, right?
Facts. And plus, I don't feel like we run him the right way, to be honest. It's like, I
Interesting.
mean,
What you mean by that?
Miles Sanders really is a zone runner. He gonna pick his spot. I mean, he gonna press, pick his spot, and then go. I feel like a zone schema kind of fit him a little bit better. San Francisco 49ers. I feel like Miles Sanders is an eat over there. He eat over there in that offense because they give you options. They don't just tell you, oh, pick this hole and go. No, we got the whole offensive line flowing this way. Pick your spot and go. I mean, he's a one-cut runner. I mean, and I feel like we don't use him the right way. All we try to do is stretch Miles Sanders to the edge. That's not a good running scheme for him. We try to stretch him to the edge. He used to picking his holes and going. I mean, I feel like I really do feel like Miles Sanders could be one of the best backs in the NFL. And he's only in his fourth year in the NFL. So, I mean, he still got a lot of time to do his thing.
And that's true, man. When we talk to like not getting used right place, you gotta do the plays that work best for him. Like the whole shifty stuff, a lot of people don't like the juke and the Miles Sanders do. I'm more of a point where it's like, let him play football. I'm a running back myself. You gotta let running backs do what they do. If you got a scholarship from it, and you drafted NFL in the second round from it, then obviously he know what he's doing. Like you can't take it away. Westbrook was shifty and jukey. McCoy, remember breadbasket way out here all the time. He used to get in trouble for it all the time, but they didn't change it. They told him, he needs to secure a little bit more, but he still was able to keep his shiftiness. And whenever he broke into a real tight juke or something, he still had the ball way out here and do his thing. So, I think Miles just need to be Miles and do his thing. Like you said, he wasn't getting the ball enough. Last year, the year before last, when WP last year, he was not getting the ball enough then either. Because Dougie wanted to air it out all the time. So I think the best thing Nick can even do is to make sure that he's balanced this year. I can understand, you're going to probably pass a little bit more, having AJ Grant, you're just going to get a couple more passes out there, but still keep that run and attack be your prime thing. And two, the passing, you got to start out with your strength, and two, the passing game, takes over. And once it takes over, then, that's when you can go do that other stuff. So, Miles Sanders, that dude, man, I think no one needs to really worry about it. I don't think he's worried about it. I think he understands what he do. I don't think he's putting too much pressure on him. Like I said, it all comes down to Nick. Like, I feel like the move to Howie made with his team, all the pressure goes to the coaches now. Because now you can't have no excuse about you don't have the players. Now you have the players to do it. It's about you getting these guys in the right position to be successful.
I feel what y'all saying. I definitely feel what y'all saying, and it's definitely going to be on a lot on this coaching staff to get these guys, put these guys in the best positions to succeed, and it's going to be really key for guys to take advantage of their opportunities. I give Kenny Gainwell a lot of respect because he took advantage of a lot of his opportunities, even the limited ones. I give credit to Boston Scott. He took advantage of his opportunities.
How many touchdowns? How many carries did Gainwell end up having last year?
Gainwell didn't have that many. I think he had between 100 and 200 touches. Maybe not that many. Let me double check for you.
Because I'm saying if it wasn't that many, the way he was scoring the touchdowns, it seemed like every time he actually played, when they made it to their second and third running backs in the rotation, he was scoring a touchdown.
Right.
So Kenny Gainwell, he had a total of wow. I was completely wrong. Kenny Gainwell only had 68 rushes.
What?
Yeah, but he
6
averaged.
touchdowns.
Exactly. So the limited opportunities he took advantage. But he had 68 rushes, 291 rushing yards, and 5 rushing touchdowns, and he averaged 4.3 yards a carry.
Oh yeah, you gotta touch the ball more.
He has touched the ball
I'm
more.
still at 5.5.
And he had 33 receptions and 253 receiving yards. So he had a total of 544 yards from scrimmage and 6 total touchdowns, 5 rushing, 1 receiving. So I think those numbers, when you think about it, and when you put those attempts into perspective, for someone who wasn't the second option at the running back position or even the third, really, some games, I think that's a hell of that's hella production. Because when Miles went down, we leaned on Boston and Jordan for the most part. And like there was a couple games where Gainwell didn't even get a touch. So I gotta give Gainwell a lot of credit for taking advantage of his opportunities and also being able to stay durable, when he was on that field. Because he's somebody that didn't really get touched that much as well, but he managed to stay healthy, take care of his body, stayed ready. And I take that aspect very serious. Some guys, like you said, Miles, when he don't get touches to a certain extent, he get in his head. Gainwell, he stayed ready. As a running back, it's more than just your talent, right? It's your mentality too. You
Right.
gotta stay ready, so you ain't gotta get ready. You gotta have that mindset. Whereas though, look, I don't care who in front of me. I'm taking it to the crib. So I think Miles has all the talent in the world to be a top 10 running back. He has it. The numbers indicate the numbers and the projections indicate that he's very, very well equipped to get it done. But it's going to come down to health. And this perfectly transitions us to another conversation I want to have with you guys. Like I mentioned before, the lack of grass time this off season. We have, out of all the teams in the NFL, we started our OTAs the latest. And then on top of that, we have the least amount of OTAs. The collective bargaining agreement limits teams at 13 OTAs an off season. We had 10 last season. Now we only have 6 this year, and that's all on coaching and you know the front office. I believe Howie Roseman got his hand in that as well. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at the coaches when it comes to that. And on top of that, not just us starting later than everybody, and not even having as many OTAs as everybody. I'll take it a step further. We don't have mandatory minicamp at all, and I kind of have a problem with that. Especially a team this young, a team that's trying to establish continuity. A team that has everything riding on getting better. Like I don't think there's a team in the NFL that has so much pressure on them with this much talent and also the type of pressure on them to get better. To live up to expectations. Like you can make an argument the Eagles have maybe the most pressure on them than any team in the NFL right now because of all the moves they made and because of the way they ended the season last year. Then you couple that with Jalen Hurts, you couple that with Jonathan Gannon. It's a lot of pressure points being hit in this organization right now. So I want you guys to just what's your thoughts on the lack of practices, the lack of grass time, you know, and just overall how that coincides with the amount of pressure and how we need to, live up to expectations, if not live up to it, exceed it.
I'll start this one off. I would say you gotta let these guys do what they do. Last year we went into the season the healthiest we've ever been.
We have
These guys are still getting work in 707 drills, still getting work hitting sleds, pass blocking technique. Like every position individually is getting work out. So it's not like these guys are just sitting at home, only in the weight room, what I'm saying? They're still on the football field learning football, basically. Um, I don't really feel like this is the pressure. I think this team probably is going to be one of the most relaxed teams out of a lot of these ones because I don't feel like they all feel like there's pressure. There's just growth. You look at even 16 to 17. That pretty much same team we asked for new pieces, like 5 new pieces, but like the players that were there, they've grown into the system to the point where Carson played better. Everybody else played better that year. And like it's just like last year, everybody's learning. First year players, second year players just learning. So now they've learned. So now they're going to that next level of the offense, the next level of producing on a team like this. And I think, the pressure's off them because they're relaxed. They're not worried about going to rookie mini camp. They're not worried about, doing all this not learning on the fly type stuff. They're already cemented into the playbook and they're going to be able to go out there and produce at a higher level and definitely be playing at a faster speed this year. All of them. So, yeah.
What about you, Trey?
With me, it's more of a. Last year, I seen this team. Nick Sirianni opted out of preseason games, everything, and we went to the season. I mean, we came in rocking against Atlanta, but it just looked like a lot of people wasn't used to playing with each other at the beginning of the season. So I feel like this team, they need to be on the field more. Like 6 mandatories. No, that don't even make sense. When did that ever happen in the NFL? So I mean, I feel like these boys need to be on the field, man. They need to be out there at pads. I mean, getting used to hitting each other and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm used to more of the the Andy Reid days where we was doing 2-a-days and they out there, Leon sweating, killing each other.
That new CBA, man. It's like, to your point, right? You know, these players are being asked to do less, but they're given so much. And you know, I'm not one to count somebody's pockets. That's not my game. Like, listen, if they cut the check, listen, all you gotta do is cash it. That's not your fault. You know what I'm saying? You did what you needed to do.
Right.
But you know, these, like, you know, last year it made sense because you don't want to come in too fast as a new head coach. You want to win you want to win your players over, right? You know, he spoke to the veterans. He said, "Hey, look, how they negotiated, right?" And I don't know if they did the same thing this season. Maybe he did. I'm pretty sure Nick Sirianni seems like the type to communicate very closely with his players, especially his veterans like Kelsey, Cox, Graham. Those are pretty much the three-headed, goats of the team, so to speak, right? And Lane Johnson, those guys, but mainly like Kelsey, Graham, and Cox. I think those are the veterans. If you want to throw Lane in there, so be it. But I'm pretty sure he could sort of those guys. I just feel like, and it's more so these young guys, man. More so the young guys, and more so Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts needs as much time on the grass as you can possibly give him because he has arguably the most riding on the season more than anybody. And I don't believe he's going to enter it and try to force things. I believe he's going to let the game come to him. But I do have my concerns about guys not practicing enough, and also you're not making it mandatory because at some point you got to demand respect and demand accountability from your players. And I believe players take on the identity or the temperament of their coach. If your coach is real laid back and lackadaisical, how do you think the players are going to approach the game? Laid back and lackadaisical. Just like Jonathan Gannon. He played a very passive aggressive, matter of fact, not even passive aggressive. He played a very passive defense. The players in turn played passively, being, 5, 8 yards off the line of scrimmage. And they're being told to do that. But it starts to bleed over in other ways as well. Early on in the season, we couldn't stop the run. Eric Wilson was a liability. He had to get cut, for things to change. And I respect the way things, transition for sure. But the mentality of your coach has to set the tone for the mentality of your players. And if you come in with an iron fist, you say, all right, listen, y'all, last season, it was the first year. All right, now let's make it do what it do. Let's earn it this year. We did what we did last year. Let's raise the floor. Let's crack the glass ceiling. You come in with that kind of mentality. You come in saying, listen, y'all, we're going to the Super Bowl this year. You set the tone. You let them know that perfection is the goal. But even if you don't get perfection, you still hit greatness. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And having these lackluster OTAs and non-mandatory mini camps is not really the way of really getting to that point of greatness or even perfection, right? That's just my thought on that, though.
No, I agree. Yeah, like I was saying, I'm used to the Andy Reid days. It's like, I mean, the Brian Dawkins and Trotter and all them dudes out there killing each other, 2-a-days, everything. Like they don't even really hit no more in practice in the NFL. I mean, they probably had like 2 or 3 sessions where they do like half contact, half speed, stuff like that. And it's just like, I mean, that's not really building no chemistry. It's like, damn, like I want to know I could go to war with this dude that's standing next to me, and I ain't gonna know that until game time because we not really going full speed, full throttle, nothing. So it's like you can't really build, and then you limited them. It's like, I mean, they come in there probably an hour or two, then they out. It's like, no, let's put a little bit more time in with each other. It's like, I mean, that's how you build football teams, and the way it's going now, they giving them options if they could do the mandatories and stuff like that. It's trash to me, bro. I don't really like it. But
now,
I mean,
let me ask you this real quick. Let me ask you this, Trey Rock. Now, this could be me probably being a conspiracy theorist, and BG, I want you to chime in on this too. Is it possible that Nick Sirianni is trying to weed out the guys who are committed versus the guys who are not? Like when you give guys an option to do something, you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about those guys. You know what I'm saying? The guys that, now granted, the Eagles have had above 90% an above 90% turnout. I think Fletcher Cox is the only one that ain't come with OTAs at all. But for the most part, they've had a very good turn at OTAs, which I respect. So I think this team, although Nick Sirianni is giving them the option, and this is me trying to play the other side of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although Nick Sirianni is giving them the option, the guys are showing up,
Right.
and on top of that, you're really able to test and, like you said, find out, can I go to war with this dude? The guys that show up, that's how you know. And on top of that, another thing too, the guys that show up, those are the guys that get the reps.
Right.
Those are guys that get the snaps. You show up, you get the snaps. If you don't show up, hey, unless you're a veteran, unless you done proved it already in this league, if you ain't showing up, you ain't getting no snaps. So maybe that's their mindset. What's your thoughts on that, BG?
I like that. I think you could be on to something right there. So I think that's what it is. It's about who wants it. You see the team when you put together teams like this, everybody want to be in it because they already know that
What's about to happen?
expectations.
They know what's about to happen.
They already
Like, it's
know
like
what's about to
spooky.
go down in the football field, so they want to be in there. Like you said, it is making them show that they want to be there by coming to these voluntary things, and working out. But you've seen these guys working out a lot, and like I said, like I've been through summer camps too, where it's just like you beat yourself up so much. It's not like if we weren't a team that wasn't getting decimated by injury over and over again, all the way up until last year, when they kind of changed things up a little bit, then yes, I'd be like, it's a little bit too, you need to practice a little bit more. But the fact that it did work for us for the most part, we had a couple of big injuries, but it wasn't as bad as it's been over the last couple of years. You gotta let them do it. Jalen Hurts getting his throwing in with the receivers. If anything, you get to see. They still got cornerbacks on them. They're still running routes. You know what I'm saying? They're getting their work in regardless. The linemen, I'm pretty sure they're banging around there. We've all been to football practice. Where the quarterbacks, running backs, receivers go over here. Linemen, defense, offense line go over there. And it works out perfectly fine. So I'm not really worried about it. I would like to see it again this year. Now, if we start seeing a team that doesn't look ready like how we did early last year, where they seemed like they were confused, out of sync, you didn't really get no chemistry really going, then yes, it would have been a problem. He definitely need to make changes about that. But they're all on the learning curve last year, and they still did a good job. So let's see what happens this year. You got to keep the veterans healthy for sure because this is their last go around. I tell people, everybody better be praying that Jalen Hurts is that guy. Period. Praying. Because you keep talking about these 2 draft picks next year. If Jalen Hurts is not the guy, we in some trouble. We got a lot of starters that aren't going to be here. The 1-year contracts. The Brooks, the Kelseys, the Fletcher Coxes. Like, these guys are not going to be on the team anymore. So we need Jalen to be that dude now. And we need to support this team now because
another reason why we need him to be the guy. You want to know another important reason? Because like you mentioned 2 important names, Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox, right? And potentially BG may not be here because of age.
yeah,
right? We're gonna lose 3 legit veterans, 3 stabilizers in your locker room. If Jalen Hurts ends up being the guy, he could be that young veteran. His mentality is already light years ahead of his peers. Mm-hmm. If he could be the guy, he can keep this team stabilized from an offensive perspective and just in general because the team loves to follow him. You lose those veterans and Jalen Hurts and not being a guy, who's your leaders really?
Yeah, facts. And then, like I said, and then those 1-year players is like, hey, they'll be playing their butts off trying to get another contract with the team. They're young enough to either do it with the team or they're going to be like, these guys haven't learned anything. These coaches suck. I'm going to go somewhere where I can win, and they're going to take off too. And we're going to be sitting there. You're only looking at 2 starters with 2 number 1s, right? And if you use both of them for a quarterback, now you only got, less draft picks with less talent to come in and have to fill starting roles. And I know our depth's good, but still, it's not a likely situation that you're going to get the best. Like Kelce, you can't replace Kelce. You can't replace, Lane Johnson. You know what I'm saying? You can get some good talent there, but they're not going to be the same level. Lane Johnson didn't even give a sack last year. He's like one of the only tackles that didn't even give up a sack all last year. Even when he missed a couple games, whatever, like this dude, when he was on the field, he was dominant. Like he always is. So it's like those are huge things. Now Jack Driscoll can go in and fill in for Lane Johnson. It's not going to be the same. He can even play good football. He can play good, but it's not the same. So we definitely need to pray. Like that's why I'm saying, like this is the time to be all in on the team. You might not ever get a chance. Look how long it's been since we had a chance to feel like this. In the off season at that. It's the off season. We still got months from football. We already feel pretty confident about ourselves now. Like that hasn't happened forever, you know. And so all the people that want to keep tamper their expectations and waiting to see it on the field, I think, man, you're gonna be missing out because you're gonna be wishing, you were amped about it if things do good, and then especially if we don't do good, then next year we need to rebuild this team completely again. That's gonna be a huge, we're going backwards if Jalen's not the guy.
Right. What's your thoughts on that, Trey?
I feel like you could feel that way, but like getting amped about it, like preseason and stuff like that, like before the season even start. I mean, it really never turns out good. So I never do it. I just be like, man, I just
But
can't
when
wait.
last time he had it done that? Like think about it. Even that Super Bowl year, those guys came during the season. Right before the season, during the season trading deadline, where we picked up a lot of those guys to get excited for a while the season. I think we're already doing so good then that it was just a plus every time we heard the name. Oh, okay, cool. But we already
But in
rocking.
fairness, and I'll be transparent. That 2017 year, preseason and off season, I didn't have us going to the Super Bowl. I'll
Neither.
be honest, I didn't. I
Neither.
didn't.
Yeah.
Even those moves to me didn't like push me over the edge. Like, oh, we got something brewing here. Like, because nobody saw what Carson was going to do. Nobody saw that coming. And I'm hoping the same thing happens over here. People don't know what Jalen Hurts better do. People sleeping on him.
Mhm.
The next thing you know, he come out slinging it. So this is a very, very scary, yet it's a very fun time to be an Eagles fan because we rolling the dice. And even if, like, let's be honest, we're in the contracts we did give out and the way we're set up from a draft pick perspective and so on and so forth, we're actually in a pretty good position for the next 3, 4, 5 years if Howie continues to make good decisions. If Nick Sirianni continues to develop as that head coach, you know what I'm saying? This is a very, very good time to be an Eagles fan. And I think people should be excited about the season, but I also think people should also, be very aware of the fact that the schedule is favorable, not easy. It's
Yeah.
But
favorable,
even at that,
but it's not easy.
when's the last time either one of you guys seen a team like this? On
And Philly,
paper, I know.
all time.
Don't say the
I'll
dream
be
team. I
honest.
don't like when people say the
I don't
dream
think I
team.
ever have. I
That
don't think I
team
ever
wasn't
have.
even that good. For real, for real. I didn't think there was no damn dream team. And it was a backup quarterback saying it.
When I saw
You know what
when
I'm
they
saying?
said that
Like,
and I saw that roster, I'm like, first of all, Vince Young. I never really had, you know what I mean. It's just like I never really had the expectations that they were talking about. Like when I
yeah,
heard them saying those things, I'm like, okay, don't do this to yourselves. Like,
no. That team was not. That team wasn't as good as this team. The 17 team's not good. You know the difference this year is the additions that we made were all young, talented players, as opposed to doing what you always did, trying to get these back at the end, back of their career type players and throw them on the roster. So that one year of glory, come out here to come to Philadelphia. I'm gonna give you some money. Come here, help us win the Super Bowl type plays, moves. Ajayi, Blunt. Like how many more years did either one of those guys play? After the
Jai,
Eagles. I'm saying I think
he
Blunt played
came
like
back one
two
more
more
year.
years. Torrey
Jai came back
Smith.
one. Jai came back one more year and then towards ACL and never played football again.
And then like Torrey Smith, like a lot of these guys, that was their last hoorah, and that was the mental side of it to help win. But putting out all that money and like having to have all these holes, it showed that we started going downhill after that Super Bowl. But I think this year, if we can go out and go do it, boom, with this roster, like you said, from years, if these guys all pan out for years to come, we are going to be a dominant football team to be messing with. We can even probably win back to back if we win it this year.
I think Howie realized the issue and the way he built that team last Super Bowl go around. Like, I think he realized that he put too much stock in these veterans, these aging guys, and that wasn't a long term way to stay
Mm-hmm.
competitive. That's why it was so important for us to try to run it back the following season, which we were damn close. We were an Alshon Jeffrey drop away, but
Mm-hmm.
because I firmly believe I firmly believe if he catch that ball, we beat the Rams in the NFC Championship game, and I feel like we smacked Tom Brady and them again because I feel like we would have had the mental edge over them coming into it again. And you know, this like I said, Harry Roseman, I think he learned his lesson. If you pay attention, like you said, he didn't spend the money on too many guys. Actually, he didn't give a guy a contract over the age of 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, nobody, no. I mean, unless you want to count Kelsey and Fletcher Cox, but they were already on the team, really. As
Mm-hmm.
far as anybody else, he didn't give out any kind. If nobody he gave a payday to was 30 or 29. The oldest player that we brought in was James Bradbury. He's 28. Hassan Reddick is like 26. You know what I'm saying? 27. Like if that AJ Brown 24. You know what I'm saying? So you think about it from that perspective, Harry Roseman is trying to build something that still has room to blossom, room to grow, and that speaks to Nick Sirianni's flower metaphor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's doing it right this time. I feel like you said, like those are a lot of players that if they are having good seasons, you know how they like block them in early, you know. And so now you're locking all your in house, and how much better does that make you look as a GM? You know, okay, I picked up three of these guys. They're balling out for our team. Our team is awesome. Now I can give them a payday. That if you wait to the off season, it's gonna be even more because now you have other teams competing with you. You can do it now when you don't have no one competing with you. You can just go to the agent, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna set you up for like 2, 3 more years, and come kick it because all these guys are young. Like you
He's
said,
good for that. No, Howie good for that. He love to pay you
yeah,
early. He
and
loves
that make him look
he
great. Cause
loves to
like,
get you an
wow,
appetizer.
how he re-signed all these players. Woo, you know, it just makes him look good. Either way, it works out for him in his favor. So
Yeah,
it's a smart move. And like I said, the veteran stuff, it can work, you know, but you got to be. I feel like you have to be way more. You got to have a little bit more talent on your roster already before you go to veteran route. Cause like you said, those are the
right.
last ruhas for these guys. So you got to have more talent where they're just a plus. You know, they're putting you overboard. Like when the Rams and Tampa Bay. Rams all of a sudden you get OBJ at the free agent or trade deadline around that time. And then you get a Von Miller from the Denver Broncos at trade deadline. Those are putting you over the top to make sure you win that Super Bowl. The Tom Brady's, Gronkowski's, AB's for Tampa Bay. That's making sure you win that Super Bowl. So our team wouldn't have been there for the veteran moves, but the young talent, man, sky's the limit because we don't know the ceiling of none of these young guys. They can come in and be all right. They can come in and be dominant. They all come in. You picked all the right pieces, which you see these guys unified in their brotherhood and whatnot. And you pick the right pieces, man. I'm talking about we can be a dominating football team this year. We're like, I'm best top five in NFL. I keep saying that this offseason. I just have a feeling we're gonna be a top five team this year overall. Like you're gonna have to really recognize this, kind of like that 2017 year where Carson was lighting it up, and like we were the number one ranked team. We can do that again this year, and like I said, the best thing is for us to do that this year because after this year, the schedule is going to be different, and B, the players are going to be different.
You
You're
know
not
what
going to have so much of
the
that veteran
difference
leadership.
between this team and that 17 team? They actually was on the field together more before the season started. That's really a big. It's gonna be an issue, bro. I promise you it is because I mean we brought in some high name dudes, a lot of egos. I mean you got Sirianni gonna have to figure out how to coach all these dudes, and you can't do that if y'all not on the field together. You have to figure
You
out
got to
how to
realize they're
coach.
on the field; they're just not in full team mode as
I
much.
know, but
But then we
it's
do have Miami. We have teams coming in. When they bring the teams in, that's when they play. It's like a little
but
extra
it's
preseason game.
teams that's gonna be way ahead of us, bro.
To push
That's all
back a
I'm
little
saying.
bit, Montreal Rock. To push back a little bit, now that you finish, I think because I've been paying attention to what they've been doing also off the field. They've been organizing a lot of off the field activities for these guys. Like they
Yeah.
took like everybody went bowling. They took them to the NFL film. They took all the rookies to NFL films and all that. The guys went fishing. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and also you got situations where guys are playing the game for the right reasons, right? You got AJ Brown. He got his payday, so he got his money. He getting paid regardless. He got his money. I think at this point he understands the assignment when it comes to Jalen Hurts, right? And I want to pick your
Mm-hmm.
brain about this aspect as well. Give me one moment to talk into it, but you got
Mm-hmm.
players on this team that really want everybody else to do well. And if anything, the one player that may be for self at any point may be James Bradbury, but even his position isn't dependent on anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
James
Yeah.
Bradbury, yeah, he looking for a payday after this year. That's why he came to Philly, but he also came here to get payback for the Giants. But if this team does great things and Howie says, look, I'm willing to give you this right now. This is my guaranteed. How can you say no? You're approaching 30. Like I can give you this right now. You and Darius Slaker, you know, be them guys, or you could be the person that I guess take over for Slay, and then we bring in another young guy, whatever it may be, right? But my overall point is, I feel like this roster was built the right way, and I honestly don't think the egos will be an issue this year. I honestly don't think so. I think it would just be more so, like you said, continuity in that grass time and understanding guys, wants and needs and how they move and certain things like that. But that also goes to the fact that a lot of this team was together last year. You only brought in maybe 4 or 5 new faces. I mean, if you don't want to count the rookies, but you know, for the most part, you only brought in about maybe 5, 6, maybe 7 new faces, and a lot of those guys are pretty much high character guys. Hassan Reddick, high character guy, he decided to come home. You know what I'm saying? So he planned for that. He got his money already. He planned for that. Then you got N'Kobe Dean and Jordan Davis. They playing for each other. N'Kobe Dean got a chip on his shoulder. He wanna show that he can be a leader, show that he can be productive in the NFL. You got guys that got that right chip on their shoulder, not more so an ego chip, but more so that that I just want to be great type of chip on their shoulder. Like I want to prove certain people wrong type thing. You know what I mean? But I want to pick your brain about this one aspect that Trey, you could lead off with answering this question.
Mm-hmm.
This goes and it's talked about Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts succeeds, what does that do for Howie Roseman's resume?
I say it boosted because, I mean, Howie Roseman trusted this kid. You get me? I mean, he trusted him enough to take him in the second round after you just paid your quarterback big money. So, I mean, he didn't care about the feedback. You've seen the interviews. Howie Roseman was like, I didn't know it was going to get this much. I mean, I was going to get this much flack over this pick. He's a second round pick. I mean, he's coming in to be our backup quarterback. It's like he took a chance on this kid. I mean, I feel like if Jalen didn't go there, who knows where he would have landed at? Third, fourth, fifth round. I mean, it's like and I feel like even with that being said, Jalen Hurts really should be super motivated because, I mean, Howie Roseman stuck his neck out there for you. It's like
big time.
He stuck his neck out there for you. Easily, that pick easily could have been another pick to help Carson Wentz. So, I mean, he took a chance on you. So, I mean, I feel like, Howie Roseman resume is stamped already because he's a Super Bowl winning GM. I mean, you see the high quality players he's bringing in now. I mean, but if Jalen Hurts really succeeds in his league, like he lives up to be what we all think he could be, I mean, it can't do nothing but go up for Howie. So, I mean, that's all you can really say. Like he's either gonna be boom or bust, and I feel like it's gonna be a boom, to be honest.
BG, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, man. How is solidified to me already? Like you said, GM of the year, Super Bowl. Great with contract. The only thing we knocked on was his draft pick selections, and like I don't look at the Jalen Hurts thing as that. I think that was just a business decision. And I know a lot of people look at it that way, but I totally think the opposite of that. I think that was just a smart business decision. Remember, we were paying like Chase Daniel $10 million, Nick Foles all that money. Like we're paying backup quarterbacks bang, and after you give your quarterback the bag, you can't afford. We're doing that because Carson was still on his rookie contract. And after you give the quarterback the bank, you gotta get a comparable quarterback. He dropped to the second round. He was sitting there. I think someone was saying how Belichick and those guys were looking at him. Maybe some other teams were looking at him. We don't know. He was Heisman Trophy winner up. Of course, he should be in the top 3 round for sure. And I think Howie just seen a cheap way he can fix the backup quarterback position. And
agree, by the way.
He also seen that, Jalen Hurts can be mobile. Carson kept getting hurt. You can have Jalen do more of the run and read option type stuff, and just like Carson sit back there and sling it. But I think it would definitely solidify him as being back on top again. He might win if Jalen, because you got to realize if Jalen Hurts succeeds this year, the Eagles are far in the playoffs, Super Bowl, somewhere around there. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that. So if he doesn't succeed, then the Eagles are kind of. It depends if it's more Jalen Hurts or the coaching staff too. If he doesn't succeed, if Jalen plays decently, say he gets like 3,800 yards, 20 touchdowns, 700 yards rushing with like 8 touchdowns, he got a little bit better, in a situation to the point where it's like, okay, it was just everything else in the team that wasn't there. then Howie will still look good. But like I said, it was a business decision that turned right for him. It worked out for him. Carson kept going downhill. He had opportunities. Carson was not mentally strong enough to be on this football team. And that's what we're kind of saying about Jalen Rager. Jalen Rager was not mentally strong enough to be on this football team. And Jalen Hurts, you already see, the man's cold as ice. He ain't worried about nobody. I'm doing my thing. Y'all can say what you want. If I get a contract, I get a contract. I don't really care. I'm about to go ball out. And then I'll let my play on the field speak for itself. So I like that. And I think it was a great move by Howie Roseman when he did it.
Right. You brought up his touchdowns, right? And I want to double back real quick to the whole practice thing, right? The lack of grass time, right? When you have that time on the grass, that builds not just continuity, but it establishes discipline. Guys are sharper in what their role is in any given player, any given situation. Right. Think about how many touchdowns was wiped off the board, how many yards was wiped off the board because his team lacked discipline in key situations. Mm-hmm. Think about that. And you want these guys to practice less? Mm-hmm. That don't make sense to me.
But it's like the effect of 19 to 20 or whatever. We 20, we had a lot of injuries too. You know what I'm saying? There's still a lot of injuries that year. Or was it like 19? There was still a lot of injuries that year. But the players that we put in were rookies that year. The Jack Driscolls, the Nate Herberts, those guys were rookies that year. That's why they didn't play that great. And then the next year when it happened again, it didn't really bother us as much because we had them in the second year and they actually knew what was going on. So they were able to produce at a higher level and it didn't really affect us as much. And the same thing with this team. Last year, they were all learning on the fly, learning these things. It's more of a learning experience for them that this year that I don't really think it really affected them that much. They already got it down. And like you said, they're more experienced in the offense. So I don't really think that's going to mess with anything.
Understood. What you think, Troy?
I mean,
and I could be reaching, right? But I'm just trying to think about,
I mean, some teams just, gel naturally. So it's like, maybe we could be one of those teams. But some teams really need to be around, on the field, on the grass a little bit more, man. So, Nick Sirianni, he knows his team. And if you feel like this is the best option, I'll rock with him 100%. I'm just not a big fan of the team not having that much field time. Field time. So, if Nick Sirianni trusts and he knows his team, I'm all for it, man. As long as we come into this season healthy, dudes know what they're doing. They know how to play together. That's all I care about. And for me, I feel like Jalen Hurts needs some preseason snaps too, man. I feel like he's gonna sit him out of that too. Man.
Give him a drive or something.
Season cool.
Give him a drive.
But I feel like doing this way too, it is kind of a benefit for Jalen Hurts as well. I know you guys want to see the full team, but think about it. If you're really trying to perfect your passing, right? There's no better way than 7-on-7, 11-on-11s, because you don't have that line rush bringing it to you. You get to see the depth. Jalen's not the tallest quarterback in the world, but he'll get to see the depth of these receivers running their routes. You see exactly full vision of how they're running their routes, how they're making their breaks, when you're going to throw it. So that timing gets, you do 7-on-7 over and over. You're just throwing all day. Boom, 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 boom.
So do you
that
think
timing gets down to the point where,
So do you think he should get preseason snaps? I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Preseason wise,
because I think you can make an argument. Because real quick, you can make an argument, and I'll let you rock, BG. I'm gonna let you go in real quick, but you can make an argument that if Jalen Hurts plays at least a drive or a quarter in each of those preseason games, or even 3 of the preseason games. Well, it was only 3 preseason games last year, right? Mm-hmm. So you can make an argument that if he got at least a drive or a quarter in each of those preseason games, he could have worked out some of those kinks that we saw at the beginning of the year last year, right? Is that fair to say?
No, because I feel like you seen him do it. He did it. We had 2 back-to-back, the Jets and the Patriots last year, where they were basically running scrimmages out there. You know what I'm saying? Without hitting the quarterback, you're still running scrimmages. So you got
my thing, though.
That's better because you're going against ones then for a lot longer. You're doing it all day long going against ones, as opposed to like the preseason game. Yeah, you might go get 5, 6 plays in a row with the ones, but then boom, you're
But
out the
that
rest of
game
the game.
speed is different, right? I mean, like that game speed is a little different. Playing in a stadium, like it's the vibe. Like you get
Yeah,
used
it
to
is.
you get used to guys actually trying to take your head off. You get used to that real pressure. So, you know what I mean? Like that's the only thing I'm trying to like I guess get across is that if you throw him in there for at least a drive or a quarter, he can get used to that pressure. He can actually maybe perfect his throwing motions with real pressure coming at him, not guys that's not going to really touch him.
I agree, and plus, we seen top 5, top 10 quarterbacks at least play a little bit in the preseason. It's like, I mean, your second year starter, you don't play him in preseason games. It's like
What has he
I feel
done?
like, I feel like it's kind of disrespectful to the league. It's like,
But even when you seen it last year, the team that had multiple scrimmages with other teams, their starting quarterbacks didn't play as much as the teams that didn't do those multiple scrimmages.
they still play
Didn't have
preseason games though.
not that much. I forgot who was it that had last year
You know
had
the third
multiple scrimmages.
preseason
Their
game used
quarterback
to
didn't
be
play that much either in a
so.
preseason because you're getting to work in.
I mean, the third preseason game. I mean, before they switched to 17 games, they usually was like the dress rehearsal. They play like at least 2, 3 quarters, and then they sit them out. It's like, I mean, it's been around in the league for forever. It's like I feel like, I mean, he could come in and get a few snaps, probably 1 or 2 drives or something like that.
That's
Like
all. That's all I'm
just to
saying. A
get
drive,
his
like
beat
just
wet a little bit. Like,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, even with the joint ones, they not hitting him. They tagging him. It's
and I
like,
feel like that too because he did do good. We watched Jalen. We seen a lot of highlights from those joint practices, and he was throwing some dimes. And he came out in the Atlanta game. He was throwing dimes. You know what I'm saying? It was more like the it went down here because Nick Sirianni decided, oh, Jalen, look how good he looked in that Atlanta game against a crappy Atlanta Falcons. But they were supposed to be better, I guess. And he seen it. He just went into pass happy mode early. He's like, okay, maybe I can air it out with Jalen, but it's still like that's just a bad formula for any first year starter. In general, you can't just start airing it out because he has a good game. And I think that's what Nick did. He abandoned the run completely. Like that was his fault in terms of his Jalen's development in the early seasons and how he looked in the early beginnings of the season because
but
he didn't.
a
He
lot
didn't.
of the times he abandoned the run, we was down already. So it's like we was down probably two touchdowns in a field goal or
Someone's
something.
game we didn't even run the
We was
ball.
forced to throw the football a lot of them times too, though. We don't look at it that way. It's like, I mean, we still running the football. We down 17 points already. It's like
But
sometimes
we were
the
running. Remember, the
quarterback
whole
got to
stadium
throw the
was
ball.
saying, "Run the ball, run the ball." When you got
Yeah,
that much,
yeah, that's natural because if you see a coach not running the ball, you're gonna scream run the ball. But a lot of those games you look back at them, we was down in those games. We abandoned the run.
from passing too much in the beginning. 3 and out, 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 3 and out. Because all
I
you did
think
was
y'all
pass.
both right. I think y'all both saying something right. I think the problem really was the fact that once Nick saw Jalen do what he did in that first game, his trust in him grew. So okay, maybe this kid can handle it. But then when he showed he couldn't, he probably said, okay, maybe he just had a bad game. Then he kept trying, and he realized, wait, this kid really is struggling. And he realized it a little too late, and I'll give him that, you know. But I think both of what y'all saying is true. Jalen is in a situation where, well, he was in a situation where, he didn't play any preseason games. He was going to, but I think he had a stomach bug. I think. Remember, I think he was supposed to play in that Pittsburgh game
Yeah,
or that Patriots game.
right.
But my point is, even Big Ben played a drive in their preseason game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I know, I know. It's just when you play like preseason, people love to sleep on it, but it may not be important to your overall winning percentage. But there's plenty of guys in that field that's playing their heart out because they need a job.
Yes.
So you got guys coming at you full speed because they trying to make a name for themselves in that preseason game. They trying to get their contract even remotely guaranteed. So what better arena than to put your guy in so he can get acclimated to that game speed without the stakes being so high.
Agree.
It's about two. Like, what about all the time that we don't see and we don't count? You know what I'm saying? Like, really, last year started. off season with Jalen Hurts taking these guys going through on, doing that type of thing. Like, that wasn't really a big thing. I think Donovan did it one time. Carson Wentz didn't like doing it. You know what I'm saying? So
Carson Wentz did that every year he was with
he
the
did it after everybody said he didn't do it.
even his rookie year. He did it every year. He took him
what?
out to like North
He got
Dakota,
all the receivers
like
out
that.
there.
All the
I don't
receivers out
remember
there.
seeing that.
Yeah, he did it every year. A lot of quarterbacks do that. I mean, that's not nothing rare.
That's what they're supposed to do, but a lot of quarterbacks don't do. Some quarterbacks go back home and work with trainers and other receivers and stuff like that. Where, I feel like Jalen was getting his guys.
Down to North Dakota every year. He's taking them down to North Dakota every year. They going hunting, throwing, everything. They playing like a whole week out. So I mean, a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL do that. It's just, I mean, you could go take them throwing all day, but y'all throwing on air. Like I said, a preseason game is a little bit different atmosphere. It's like Tom said, dudes out there fighting for their life. So it's like even the starters don't feel. A lot of the starters don't even feel comfortable like out there. So it's like everybody hungry out there in the preseason. Let's see the dudes throw against some, like when live bullets going.
You can make an argument that's the most hungriest time of the year. You can make an argument because guys
For
are
a majority, but not your top
guys,
percentage of the team.
No, but listen, most of your team is made up of guys that are 7th rounders, 6th rounders, 5th rounders, guys that don't have as much. Don't get it twisted. Like, I know it's easy to, like, most teams are made up of guys that have not like 1, 2, 3 year deals, maybe. Like, but for the most part, those guys on that field in preseason, you can make an argument that's more valuable to them than a playoff game, because they are not just fighting for glory. They fighting for their living. They fighting for their bills. They fighting for medical bills. Like,
but that's different from your stars.
They at least try to make the practice squad. That's how hard they fight.
Right.
And those guys, they need more time out there, so you can see him. You can know if he's going to be that dog or not. You can know he's going to be playing
out there with
your
those
starters.
guys,
You can be good enough to know. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, but put Jalen out there with those guys so he can at least feel that heat. You know what I'm saying? So because one of the things that we didn't like was him, being a little too happy feet in the pocket because guys was coming at him. Mm-hmm. We need I'm telling you this, like, to get him out there at least in a preseason game or two, at least maybe 2 preseason games, maybe a quarter or a drive, whatever. I think it's important to get him some live action football reps when the stakes aren't high, so so he can get out those bad throws, so he can get out those early game jitters. You know what I mean? Like it's more than just the talent. It's like the mindset, the jitters. And I'm not questioning his mentality, but I'm saying he's human still. He's human, and he knows what's at stake this year. And I think it'd be good for him to say, "Hey, Jalen, we're gonna give you a quarter in the preseason game." You know what I'm saying? We're gonna give you a drive, right? And if it's not there, just throw it away. Don't try to overdo it. Don't try to run all over it. Be a quarterback. That'd be the perfect situation for him to actually try to be a legit quarterback, because I'm pretty sure the coaches say, "Look, it's preseason. I don't want you out there running. Drop back. If it's there, make the read. If it's not there, throw it away and do what you got to do." That'd be the perfect situation for him to really carve out that pure quarterback role, because he's not going to be running as much. He's going to be protecting his body, right?
Right.
So that might be the best situation for him, just to really get those bad throws out the way. Run those, get those passes out the way where, maybe you mistime the route and you throw an interception. Get it out the way. Get those interceptions. Get it out your system. Get those bad habits out your system. So by the time the season starts, now you ain't rusty. You know what it feels like for somebody to at least touch your shoulder pad with some force. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, I get you. And I love Jalen. I want to see him play as much as possible. Right. I want to see him play all the preseason games, the whole game. You know what I'm saying? I would love it. But I feel like that's more of an approach that was better for last year, being his first year starting, as opposed to this year. Now you do have a full season. Like I said, we've seen these guys. Besides, like, everybody's like we got all this new talent on offense. We got the same players with the addition of AJ Brown. You know what I'm saying? It's the same players with the addition of AJ Brown. So he knows how everybody works. He knows he's gotten chemistry with all these guys. And like AJ said, they've been practicing together off season regardless. Like, they've been doing it like they're best friends. You know what you do as a best friend. And he's fighting for Jalen. Like, that was the hugest part of AJ's speech that he was talking about. I'm fighting for him. Now it's something different when you go to a team and it's your best friend as a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of why Adams went to the Raiders to be with one of his really close friends, and David Carr. It's like that's a whole nother experience, and that makes you go to another level regardless. Like it's going to happen. I feel like there will have to be some kind of crazy situation. Maybe one of them get hurt or something without them, because we got a team, man. Like those young players just had to develop last year. That's the hugest problem with last year. When we made it to those playoffs, we had too many young guys on offense, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Too many young guys on offense to really think about doing any kind of noise. Not that the guys didn't have any talents. It's just it was too early in the system when you're learning a new offense. You got a new coordinator. You got everything's new around you. You got new players, new everything. You're trying to see if the Herberts and all these other linemen, can come in and do an adequate job. You know what I'm saying? You didn't know it, because when you seen the year before, those guys were playing decent football. They were like, spotty at best. But then they came back the next year and they developed and they got bigger, faster, stronger. And then when you called on them, they actually, lived up to that call. So we just gotta watch them play. Like I said, I don't see it being that bad. Like in terms of like you said, I think especially with this year's roster, we got a lot of back end guys with talent. So let's see who out of those back end guys, like they said, when they do those joint practices, the back end guys don't really get looked at that much. It's all about the starters and the second streamers. The back end guys aren't even they're like doing the other field, doing whatever they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So that is their time to shine. It is their time to go in there, and we can really find out which one of these guys. Because guess what? If we can develop some of them back end guys, but give them that game experience, our team is that much more better. When we make that 53 men, not to have you're only as strong as your weakest link. And if your weakest link is a starter caliber type player or a second string type player, then you're looking at a good football team that year.
Hey, what's your thoughts about that, Trey?
Um, for me, I feel like we still talking about the preseason. Jalen Hurts getting reps in the preseason, right?
Yeah, yeah, it just, I guess you just, the young guys, because BG brought up the fact that there was a lot of young guys on that offense last year, and especially at the skill positions. We had no experience at the skill positions outside of Dallas Goedert, and he had some mental lapses as well. But
Right.
these we got a veteran presence now. AJ Brown, Zach Pascal. You got some guys that got some miles on them, I guess you would say. So like, yeah, like.
What do you got to think about that?
Oh
Right.
yeah, the offensive line. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. We definitely should tackle that as well. But yeah, I was gonna get Trey right final thoughts on this part, and then we could do that, right? Um, so yeah, like from an experience perspective, how do you think this team, elevates their game? Now that we got a guy like AJ Brown and Zach Pascal, I think Zach Pascal, Weezy, the Dreaded Eagle said it best. I think we are sleeping on him. Zach Pascal had 2 seasons in the NFL with over 600 yards and being the third option. That's pretty productive for his opportunities, right?
Yeah.
So you know when you think about the experience and that extra year playing with each other, how do you think this team, will look, from a chemistry perspective?
I feel like even if we wouldn't have, like offensive wise, even if we wouldn't have added AJ Brown, I feel like our receivers would have been better regardless because
Mm-hmm.
I
mean,
agree.
they didn't went through a whole season of, learning experience, trying to get open on NFL corners. Trying to go up against good defensive coordinators who gonna game plan for him, especially Devontae Smith. He had his fair share of double teams because we had really had limited options around him. If it wasn't Goddard, it could have been Quez, but I don't even feel like we targeted Quez enough last year. So I mean, with this with this year right here, AJ Brown bringing him over, that's a big time plus. But I feel like our receivers would have been better regardless. It's like you didn't went through war, you didn't been to the playoffs, you didn't seen these defensive coordinators scheme for you. You didn't seen them try to take Dallas Goddard out of the game, take Devontae Smith out of the game. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I mean, Rigger is a lost cause at this point. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen with him this year. It's gonna be a toss up. He's either gonna be good or he's gonna be horrible. I mean, I don't even care that much at this point. So, I mean, Zach Pascal, he done seen a lot of coverages. He done been through a lot of wars too. So, I mean, it ain't even just AJ Brown. It's just bringing more experience and those younger guys having more experience based off what happened last year. And knowing Nick Sirianni and knowing his calls and where he needs you to be when he needs you to be there. It's gonna be a little bit. It's gonna be way better, man. I promise you. I mean, I didn't see wide receivers. I didn't see Steve Smith sit on the bench for 3 years before he got a chance to start. He's a Hall of Famer.
That's a good point.
He's a Hall of Famer, bro. So you never know who's gonna break out of this bunch. There's always gonna be that one guy. So, I mean,
what do you guys think? What do you guys think is the bigger impact of the whole AJ Brown trade? The fact that it is AJ Brown, or the fact of what AJ Brown does to the rest of the receivers? You know, like you guys said about that with with Devontae Smith, he learned from last year being that guy that had to learn how to get off double team. Now he learned these things
on number one corner too.
Devontae
was getting number one corner attention all season last year. So I ain't gonna lie. Now you just got me excited, BG. I ain't gonna hold you that quick. I was chilling.
Yeah.
You just got me excited now. I'm thinking about the impact of AJ Brown just being on the field, not even what he's gonna do with the ball. You know who could benefit the most out of everybody? Dallas Goedert.
Yep.
You wanna know why? Because they're going to be paying so much attention to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and then they're going to be scared of Quez's speed. The middle of the field is going to be so wide open for Dallas Goedert. That's why it's going to be so important for Jalen to be able to make those throws. He's going to have to, like, I'm sorry, he's going to have to, he needs to be good enough to be able to, you know, carve up linebackers, man. Like this, like he can't waste time in that. Dallas Goedert going to be wide open all day. I promise you.
Yeah.
I feel like who really gonna benefit. I feel like our backs gonna really benefit, to be honest, because I mean the check down gonna be there every time because the fear of a Dallas Goedert running through the middle. I mean, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and them getting deep on you. Quez Watkins. So our backs are really gonna eat for real. It's like, I mean, as long as Hurts willing to take that check down, it's gonna be there every time. It's going to be there every time. Our back should be at least getting like 8 to 10 catches a game.
Between them, right? Between them?
Yeah. Not even between them, just period. Like, I mean, it could be 5-5. It don't even matter. But, like, yeah, between them, yeah. Gainwell, Scott, Miles Sanders, it's going to be there because you're going to have a linebacker lined up on Dallas Goedert. Like, you have a linebacker lined up on Dallas Goedert. You probably sometimes you're gonna have a linebacker lined up on Quez. Like it's like the backs should be able to eat this year, especially Kenny Gainwell if he on the field more because he's gonna it's just gonna be crazy mismatches. It's gonna be crazy mismatches. Ain't no linebacker running sideline to sideline with that dude. So I feel like our backs gonna benefit even more than Dallas Goedert is.
Yeah, and to that point, the running game, forget the passing game of the backs, the running game of the backs is going to really get improved a lot because not only are AJ's going to help free up these guys so you're stretching out your coverage, right? But the fact that these guys are good run blocking receivers. You know, AJ Brown's one of the best run blockers.
He's willing too. Like he's not.
He's willing. He's a little guy. He's going to get in the way.
He's stronger than what he looked too.
Yeah. And AJ Brown's one of the best, run blocking receivers in the game. So that helps out that run.
And Zach Pascal.
And Zach too. Pascal for sure too. Yeah. So now you're looking at that and you're like, we got a running back that's one of those guys. He's a home run guy. Miles Sanders, he's not no Henry where Henry can go 3 quarters, just pound it on you. 7 yards, 6 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards, 6 yards, 5 yards. So once you get out of that third quarter, that whole defense is beat up to hell. And now Henry's busting out your freaking 20 yards, 40 yards, scoring touchdowns on your head, like stuff. Sanders a home run hitter. So this is going to help him be more of a home run hitter. I think he's going to have more yards with less carries and more touchdowns.
You know what's going to be scary to see? It's going to be scary. I ain't going to lie. Like, I'm looking forward to those block and releases by Dallas Goedert. I'm looking forward to those block and release. Like I would love to see AJ Brown lined up a little closer to the ball in a slot, and you have him do a block and release, and then he just and then he release, he wide open throwing the ball, and he just go. Like that's going to be so. Like that's why it's really as much as it is on Jalen Hurts to do his thing. I'm paying close attention to this coaching staff. You have so many guys to get things. You have so many different types of receivers in your wide receiver room. You can get creative. Like this offense, the way it's built is literally it's set up for creativity. Like this shouldn't be a reason why guys shouldn't be eating. Like this offense is really like just like the defense is set up for versatility, the offense is set up for creativity. And it's going to be so key for Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen and Kevin Patullo and those guys, and the running back coach and Brian Johnson. It's going to be huge for the offensive brain trust to really, really make it happen for these guys. You got so much talent. I'm not going to be lying to you. At least two people should be wide open every play. That's how much talent is on the field at one time.
If schemed right, yes.
If schemed right,
exactly. If schemed right, yes. Because people really want to see Jalen throw all these bombs, but reality is no one's really dropping back 20, 30 times just throwing bombs all day. Unless you got like
that's what I'm saying. People
Tom Brady
can't throw it deep. Like you're not throwing it 8, 40, 60 yards, 80 yards every play. Like relax. Like
Tom Brady. You look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady's a 10 to 12 yarder, 10-yard out, 7-yard out, 10-yard out, 7-yard out. Slants. That's what Tom Brady. He carves you up. And that's what makes them so great. And it's not that they're the most complicated routes. It's just that they're easy, simple routes that he carves you up on because he knows who's going to be open.
It's crazy. The Miami Dolphins was one of the most explosive teams in the league last year. And they barely threw the ball over 10 yards. They barely threw the ball over 10 yards. It's like they put it in their playmakers' hands and let them make plays. I feel like that's kind of the offense we should run, man, because we got a lot of playmakers on the field now. I mean,
don't forget that we were one of the most explosive offenses last year in terms of big plays. People don't look at that part. But that's huge. That when you're putting up big plays all the time, that's the type of offense we got. And we
had two receivers averaging over 14 yards of reception.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae averaged about 14 yards a catch, and I think Quez averaged like 16 yards a catch.
Yeah, that's good.
It's great.
That's real good. So it's not the explosion's not there. Like I said, it's more of these dink and dunk stuff, like like he's Tom Brady does. It's more like just to be consistent with the ball flow. But like I said, even Tom had Fournette, Jones the year before, and then Fournette kind of took over last year as being the main feature back. But you had Bernard over there too. So you had the other pieces that running back. That running game is really solid. That's what opens up the passes, the running game. You need that. That has to be a staple. And since we're the best at it, you better come back this year with that being a staple of your offense. And slowly, when you can start out winning games with just the run game, it helps out your offense. Because now you're just adding as the season goes along. You're sprinkling a little bit more pass on it, a little more, instead of having to feel like, oh, I got to pass to win. Your goal is to get your offense to be pretty balanced, if not a little bit more pass heavy by the end of the season. So you can mold them in, work them in. And to the end, where like now in the playoffs, you're like, oh, we still got the number one rush team, so you got to respect that. And now I'm about to hit you with all my mega pass plays, and scoring touchdowns on your head.
Right.
Win that Super Bowl.
Hey, man, it's going to be a hell of a season. But let's talk about that offensive line, right? Since we talk about, the running game and, the screen game and stuff like that and just blocking in general, right? PFF ranked the Eagles' offensive line number 1 in the NFL. What's your thoughts on that?
We always be number 1.
Talk your talk, BG.
You know who? We have Brooks, Blaine, Kels, and Sam Mahler, JPP, whichever one you want to put out there, at that left tackle spot. When have there really been a team that have better line than us? Like they are better than us when our players get hurt. We have back.
That's it. Only listen.
We have our starters, and we've been dominant for a long time. That's been one of our staples. It's having good play on the offensive defense. I think they should rank the defensive line number 1 too. Name another defensive line better than our defensive line in terms of depth. and players to start front players. When you got guys like Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Barnett or Sweat on your back or Graham, Reddick, like when because I don't know how they're gonna play Reddick this year. I think they're gonna use him more of an end. But even those guys like that defensive line is super stacked, too deep. Like there's not a lot of teams that got that many. How many Pro Bowlers? Fletch been in Pro Bowl, BG been in Pro Bowl, Sweat been in Pro Bowl, Hargrave been in Pro Bowl. So you're starting four are all Pro Bowlers. It's been a while since we did that. And then you look at who's coming off the bench. Milton, a first round pick. Jordan Davis, you know what I'm saying? Barnett, a first round pick. Who plays good run defense. We want more sacks out of him. I think that's what people are more irritated with him about, and less penalties. But he's still a good football player at the end of the day. His aggression gets the best of him sometimes. He's dumb. But, he's still a big physical boy that makes that second line rotation even more deadlier. Like, I really think we have number one and number one. And whenever you have number one, that's a championship team. Like I don't even know how many times that's even happened in history. We had the best offensive line, defensive line in football.
You know, I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to the way we score, because somebody in the chat said this is like the perfect red zone team, the perfect red zone offense. And when they said that, that really made me think. You got a guy like AJ Brown, big body wide receiver guy, has a catch radius like Stretch Armstrong. Guy that can jump out the gym, physical. You got Dallas Goedert, the guy who always eats in the red zone. You got receivers like Zach Pascal, AJ Brown that can actually block. You know what I mean? Like this team can really gut you in more than one way. How do you think this? How do you think, based off everything we know about this team right now, and the personnel, how do you guys anticipate this team being in the red zone? Trey Rock, you want to start this one off?
I mean, if it's me, we in the red zone. I'm playing power football until they can stop it. I mean, the wide receivers, they're gonna take a little hit. It's like, man, let's line up and just run the football down these dudes' throats, score a touchdown. That's what I'm doing. I mean, you could try to get a little bit creative, but why would you? We was one of the most dominant offensive lines last year. I mean, red zone, it don't matter where we was at on the field, we could run the football anybody. So,
Yep.
I mean, I'm sticking
And
to
we
that.
and we also got the best run blocking tight end too. My bad, Trey Rock, but also
Yep.
since 2018, Dallas Goedert has been the top ranked run blocking tight end in the NFL. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, now you decide to try to play that bear front, that goal line front. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith out there. I mean, throw that fade route, slant route, whatever you want to do out there, it's pick your poison. But we gonna still be a running football team. Like we ain't gonna get too cute in the red zone. We gonna line up, punch on the mouth, get off the field, let the defense go do their thing. That's how I play it if it was me. I don't know if Sirianni thinking that way, but that's how I play it if it was me. Because we were so dominant in the run game last year. I mean, I just keep it up. You tell our offensive linemen love going forward. So let those dudes go forward. I mean, and they decide and they start stopping it, then you switch it up a little bit, spread it out a little bit more. But no, I'm playing power football in that red zone.
Right. All day. Scoring touchdown. And I don't even care if Jalen Hurts scores. I don't care who has the touchdowns. Like everybody gets really mad about the whole Miles Sanders not scoring one. The fact is he ran us down there. Who cares who got the touchdown? He did his part at the end of the day too. You gotta give him more credit than that. Like with the so many talented pieces on our offense, who cares who scores it as long as we keep scoring them? I look at the overall scoring. How many touchdowns do we score for the year? How many touchdowns are we scoring per game? Those type of things as opposed to who's actually scoring them. Even when Jalen Hurts, everybody's like, oh, yeah, but these games, he only had 150-yard passes. I'm like, for one, those 150 yards were pretty nice throws. Most of them were pretty nice throws because he didn't throw the ball that much. And two, he still put up 10 touchdowns on the ground. He's producing. If that's the game plan, he's going with the flow. Boom. He's scoring. We're winning. That's what we did during that stretch. We were winning football games. So whatever way it comes, At the end of the day, we can't be picky about it. We should just hope that they continue to come more winning games.
Mm, man, this is going to be a hell of a year, y'all. And a sidebar: Avonte Maddox was graded by PFF as being a top 10 slot corner. He's ranked number 9. Which is still good. It's 32 teams in the NFL. It's to have one of the top 10 slot corners, and that basically tells me at any given point he could potentially be top 5, number 1. If he continues to get better. You know what I mean? But to be in top 10 is huge to me. You know, Maddox, he played just about everywhere, in the secondary in his 4 years. He was career. They had him at safety, had him on the outside, had him at slot. And, he was always productive in that slot area. You know what I mean? And, in 2021, they had moved him back to the nickel full time. And he had a 76.1 coverage grade. And that was top 5 at the position, And
Yeah.
he had 17 passing stops in the slot, which tied for the most in the NFL last season.
With our cornerbacks, we don't need to really spend a lot of money on another safety. Because you don't understand. We got 3 Pro Bowl caliber cornerbacks. Like Maddox, like this guy said, who was better than Maddox last year? You know what I'm saying? At the slot. The Maddox played, he might be at Boykins. Remember when we had Boykins? When Boykins went to go try to be a number 1 cornerback, he sucked. He was too small. But as long as he was that slot guy, he was Pro Bowl caliber. And I think that's where we got Maddox. As long as you keep him in the slot, you got a Pro Bowl caliber player.
That's his best position right there.
Yeah. Pro Bowl caliber player. Then Bradbury and Slay are both Pro Bowlers. So it's like that makes it a lot easier for the safety. Now you're just playing over the top of good players.
Yeah. So like as far as the guys that were ahead of him, Kenny Moore II from the Colts, Mike Hilton from the Bengals, Jonathan Jones from the Patriots, Teron Johnson from the Bills, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson from the Saints, Troy Hill from the Rams, and Bryce Callahan from the Chargers.
I thought Gardner-Johnson was a safety though.
And Nate Hobbs from the Raiders. Say it again.
I thought Gardner-Johnson was a safety.
They probably, he probably
in the nickel
moved around. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they probably realized, he probably more productive, at that point in the nickel and the safety. I mean, in the slot, right?
Yeah.
So
that's facts.
It's gonna be real interesting, man. It's gonna be real interesting to see, and I'm looking forward to the NFC East matchups. That's gonna be amazing because. Look, as we all know, Cowboys fans come in every season talking about Super Bowl, and they disappoint every single year. So I'll be honest with you, I could care less what any Cowboys fans say because they stay disappointing their fan base. You dig what I'm saying? So, like, as much as the Cowboys want to pretend like they're the darlings of the NFC East or whatever, they not built from a mentality perspective. They just not built. I don't care. I don't care what nobody say. They could be as hyped about their team as much as they want. They will always beat themselves, and it never fails.
Yes. Yeah, they're not looking. I don't feel like they did enough. I feel like they need to do a little bit better. Like they said, some people think we just closed the gap with the Cowboys. I think we passed everybody. I don't really for real. I'm not even worried about our division at all this year. I think we are the team in the division, and they don't have to beat us. Because for one, no one back-to-back champs, and for two, our team's just that much better. I think like I've been on 2 Cowboy guys, and the worst we got was half and half. We're 5 positions strong each side, but the best is like they know that they only have 1 or 2 positions more better than ours. And teams win for championships, teams win games. So as long as you got the team, what you worried about? I really don't think that's that many teams in the NFL for real. Like when you can go Pro Bowlers at the starting level, so you're talking about 22 players. If you line up your 22 players against matching them up against a lot of teams in the league, I don't see that many teams with a better 22 than we do. Like it'd be hard to really find that.
I can't.
You could say individual positions, like you might have a better running back, or you might have a better receiving core. But you can't say team. 22 players.
You can't definitively say someone has a legit better 22 guys than ours. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Only one we can really probably say is probably the Super Bowl champions. That's it. I mean, the Rams. Other than that, it's a toss up between any other team.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Right. And when you think about the other teams, they might have us at the quarterback position because we're still trying to figure out what Jalen Hurts is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and I know that's the most important position. But man, like I'm willing to ride with my guys. You dig what I'm saying?
Yes.
I put
I'm
my
all for this whole
I
year,
put my
this
guys
whole
against
off season.
anybody.
Especially if Howie makes another move before the season even starts, you know, that's gonna be put me over the top. That's the icing on the cake. That's the cherry on top. You know what I'm saying? If he makes another move, that's rap. I'm gonna let him. If he makes another big splash, say he goes out and get a Hunt to pair up with Miles Sanders or Jesse Bates to put back in his secondary, it's a wrap, man. I'll be talking Super Bowl. I'll be talking 15-2. I'll be talking all that stuff the rest of the season. And you got to show me otherwise during the season.
I dig that, man. Shoot, man. And on that note, you guys, as always, this has been a hell of a live stream. We covered a lot, and I feel like we really got to the bottom of a lot of stuff too. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, I think we all came to that agree to disagree side, and we also even came to positions where we see each other's clear point of view and why we think the way we think. And that's pretty much the goal of these conversations, right? To always try to figure out why the other person think what they think and how can they justify it. And then normally our ideas build a marriage, and we ultimately end up saying the same thing. And the bottom line is, regardless, even if it's a differentiation of theory, we all want our team to be Super Bowl winners, right? And that's the ultimate goal,
Facts.
bring home the Lombardi Trophy. And no matter how we slice it, we all want the same thing. So as always, I appreciate you fellas for being y'all, and keeping up the grind with our content. And everybody in this live chat, I want you guys to go subscribe to my man One Trey Rock. My man is grinding. Go subscribe to my man One Trey Rock, man. My man doing his thing. Please go subscribe to Bird Gang 31. Go subscribe to the BGN network. Make sure you guys go lock in, and also lock in on Chalk It Up Sports with your boy Tone DeShields the second. Where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just gotta charge it to the game. Anybody,
Yes,
what you got?
sir. Hey, you said it, man. Hey, make sure you hit that subscribe and like on all those channels that he just named off. Man, we all grinding. We're here in the off season, weekly, giving you content like we should. You know what I'm saying? We're not really taking breaks. We're coming out too hard. We're going to continue to do this all off season and the season from here on out. So, we got some of the best to do it here for the Eagles community, and keep supporting us, keep helping us grow. So we can do this more often. The more you guys help us, the more we can be on here with you. You know what I'm saying? Because all of us got day jobs and whatnot, but we try to fit in that time to make sure we're taking care of this for you guys. So help us out. Get us those likes, get us those views, get us everything we need so we can be on here full time. I'm pretty sure all of us wants to do it full time. You know,
Facts.
we don't have to worry about going to a normal job. We can just come on here and holler at you guys all day long. So,
Facts. Facts. Trey Rock, you want to close it out, my man? Get your final words up.
Yeah, I just want to say I started doing this because I was watching some guys and I just look like, they just talking football. This look easy, but it's not easy at all. It's like you gotta find the time, you gotta find stuff to talk about in the off season. It's like it's an everyday grind, man. You gotta stay on your phone, you stay on your computer and stuff like that. So if you're a guy, you just trying to like start off, go hit up Tone DeShields. Go hit up BG31. There's a lot of content creators out here that started from the muscle, man. It's like, they'll give you any knowledge you need. They won't shy away from it. I promise you. It's a family over here. It's a community. Like, I can hit these dudes up anytime I need to. Anything I need to talk about, I could do it. So if you're a young content creator or you a guy that's just trying to get off the ground, go hit some of these dudes up, man. It's fun. Like, we all
It
turn
really
into a
is.
family.
back.
We all turned into a family. LB,
Yeah.
500, all those dudes, bro. It's like they give you any knowledge you need. So, we just trying to grow this family, man. If you got anything you could bring to us, you could bring to the table. Let's get it, man.
Yes.
That's a fact. That's a fact, man. And on that note, man, you guys, make sure y'all once again subscribe to One Tree Rock. Hit that notification bell. Smash the like buttons. Go subscribe to BG31. Subscribe to the BGN network. You guys subscribe to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got charged to the game. One love, stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry. And we out of here, y'all. Peace. Peace out.
Peace.